When you go to North Korea, you have a guide from the moment you arrive. He's always with you. My name is Pedro Ugarte. I'm the current photo director for North America. I have been working in AFP since 1991. Back in 2012, more or less, AFP started talking about the idea of opening a bureau in North Korea. There was, except for AP, there were no other Western media. And the idea was to see if we could basically have some access and start basically opening a bureau. So in 2012, there was a big celebration, the 100 years of the birth of Kim Il-sung. And the government invited a good number of journalists. Among those, basically, we managed to get an invitation. And we were there reporting for about 10, 12 days. When you go to North Korea, you have a guide from the moment you arrive. He's always with you. They would always, at the very beginning, be quite strict in terms of what they would allow you to do, to photograph. But interestingly, as the days went by, you start building this trust or this kind of relationship with them. And they start opening up a little bit. Once, I remember we went to the subway, right? And then people start coming out of the subway. They have this pole with some newspapers, right? And they would start looking at it. Of course, they have to approach it because it's very small, letters. There is not that much light. So it was an interesting situation, right? I started taking pictures of that. The man that would ask me, listen, why were you taking those pictures? You wanted to make us look like, we don't have enough electricity in the place. We have a completely different interpretation of why I was taking that picture. I went back to North Korea in 2014 to continue the negotiations, basically the conditions in which we were going to work once we opened the bureau. That was having 2 local reporters and also the possibility to send our own photographer and videographer as often as possible. In this case, was every 5 to 6 weeks. They go to North Korea, stay there for a week or 10 days, and then they have to go out. The bureau was opened in 2016, actually. It worked really well in the sense that we managed to go there. Our reporters managed to start building a little bit more and more trust and having access to places that we didn't have access to. When COVID hit, pretty much the country closed completely. And I believe we haven't been back, or any other agency or any other media has been back since then. North Korea is such a closed place that every single piece of information, every single picture, every single image out of the place, it becomes incredibly valuable. I think it's important to report in those kind of countries, those where there is no access for press or for people in general, which are so isolated and so misunderstood, that if we have the chance to be inside with the agreement that, there has to be always somebody with us. Those are limitations, for sure. But I think that even having that little access is much better than having no access at all to them.